Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming here today. I'd like to thank Renee for inviting me to be a speaker. My name is Bruce McAllister. At this moment, we wish to do the land acknowledgement. We wish to acknowledge that we are on Treaty 8 territory, the traditional and ancestral territory of the Cree, Dene, Beaver, and home to many Métis settlements. These lands have been home to Indigenous peoples since time immemorial, and we are grateful to live, learn, and work and play on Treaty 8 territory. Now we have O Canada. Now we all join and sing in English, please. Thank you. Now I'll do an opening prayer. Almighty Father, thank you for this new day. Thank you for all of us gathering here and celebrating our Indigenous veterans. Thank you for also taking care of my needs and keeping me and my family safe the past day. Father, today I pray you cover around me your loving and merciful presence. Your love is light and hope of my heart. Your mercy is consolation, the strength of my soul. Thus, continue to dwell in my life. Fill me with peace, guidance, and forgiveness. Empower me when I feel down and lead me to your presence even in my pains and trials. Thank you, Father. Help me to surrender and unload you the anxieties and stresses I'm dealing with in my life. Help me to believe that there is a bright future ahead of me. In my family name and our country, in Jesus' name, amen. The last post. we have Dell McCorston to do a fiddling song for us. Thank you, Dale. Now I'd like to introduce Grant Berg, CMTA Indigenous Liaison and the City of Grand Prairie Councillor. Mr. Berg.
Thank you, Bruce. Good morning. I would like to start by respectfully acknowledging the Beaver, Cree, Dene, and Métis people as the original caretakers of this lands and surrounding areas. Thank you for joining us at Indigenous Veterans Day as we honor and recognize the courage, strength, and sacrifice of First Nations, Métis, and Inuit veterans who have served Canada's military during times of both war and peace. I am honored to be here on behalf of Mayor Clayton and City Councillors, and I'm joined by Councillor Bosch and Councillor Blackmore. Today we honor the service of Canada's Indigenous veterans and express our deepest gratitude to those who have made the ultimate sacrifice, allowing us all to benefit from the principles and values that freedom provides. Indigenous veteran sacrifice have helped shape our nation, and their stories inspire us to work together for a future of reconciliation, respect, and understanding. I encourage all of those who call Grand Prairie home to spend today remembering and honoring the dedication and devotion of our Indigenous veterans and soldiers who have served and are currently serving in Canada's Navy, Army, and Air Force. To our Indigenous veterans, present and past, thank you for your resilience and courage in times of conflict, today and every day, lest we forget.
Thank you, Mr. Burt.
Invite everyone to sit down.
Pardon?
Invite everyone to sit down.
Can you please all be seated? I guess it's my turn to talk your ear off. I've been invited to speak about the importance of Indigenous Veterans Day. I'm current president of the Dunvegan Historical Society, president of SIMTA. I'd love to be involved more. My workload is fairly heavy, but I try my best to make it to things like this. Retirement looks promising, so I'll be more involved, I promise. I was raised by my grandparents in a little place called Clear Hills in the Dunvegan area. We're original people from that area is what I was taught. We have an uncle, my great uncle, my grandpa's brother, who is buried in France, an Indigenous veteran who lost his life overseas. I feel times have changed immensely. I listened to my grandfather talk about his brother years gone by when he was being discriminated against by whoever it was. He'd say, if Henry was still here, you wouldn't be doing that. So he was like the big brother that went to war to protect against racism and all the bad things in the world. I was sad to hear on the radio this morning, they were talking about Indigenous veterans that returned from the wars and they found the discrimination was here. So I feel that that's the point, that we need to be involved in this and to celebrate this day. We have in our family have missing people, women and men. I think the society today has gone to that normal, or they figure it's normal to be able to, he's just an Indian, to waste that life, and I don't like that. So we need to be very mindful of the way this is all going and try to be involved more. I really would like to express, I'd like to honor, I feel, a fallen soldier who's lost his life recently, Murray Sinclair from Manitoba. He was a judge, a lawyer who became judge, who became member of parliament. And he fought for truth and reconciliation. He is Mr. Truth and Reconciliation. I feel he needed to be more. We need more people like him. There's a lot of wrongs in this world today, especially against the local peoples. It's a hard life for a lot of them. Not only those people, but everyone involved. Being raised on the land, essentially, when I was young, and then got old enough at 14 to join the workforce, and been there ever since. It's totally a different world. We don't eat proper. We think we do, but we don't. It's all about money. Like before, it was, our original language didn't even have thank you, because we shared everything. There was no need for that word. So, like I said, things are very different, and we need to acknowledge that moving forward. So with that, I'll close with quoting my mentor, Murray Sinclair, about truth and reconciliation. Well, why can't you just get over it? Well, his answer to that was, why can't you just remember? Thank you. And we got Grant Berg again to read Marty Granger's speech, who couldn't make it today. He was scheduled to be here, but he's got a graduation. So, Grant?
Thanks again, Bruce. Good morning, Tansy. I'm here today on behalf of Marty Shannon Granger, Vice President of the Canadian Indigenous Motor Tourism Association, CIMTA or CIMTA. Marty is a proud Beaver First Nation member from the Dunvegan Beaver brand in the heart of the Peace. Marty can't be here today as he's receiving his diploma today in Indigenous Environmental Monitoring and Drone Technician in Edmonton. He asked me to express how deeply honored he is to join this gathering, even if by letter, as we recognize, honor, and celebrate Indigenous veterans who have courageously upheld peace and defended freedom here in Canada and around the world. Today, we remember the immense sacrifices of Indigenous peoples who've put their lives on the line in service to Canada. And we pay tribute to the families, loved ones, and communities who mourn and honor them. Thousands of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis soldiers served with dedication and courage during the First and Second World Wars, the Korean War, the Gulf War, and continue to serve today in pursuit of a better world. On a personal note, Marty wishes to honor his grandfather, Henry James McAllister, also known as Mussum, who lost his life in World War II and is buried in France. As we pay tribute to the invaluable contributions of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis veterans to our peace and security, Marty would like to invite everyone to visit the Veterans Memorial Gardens and Interpretive Center Here we can learn from and embrace the stories displayed on the many placards, as well as appreciate the Indigenous medicines and plants that grow here that represent and honor their heritage, lest we forget.
Thank you again, Mr. Burke. Can I have Len Auger from Grand Prairie Friendship Center to speak, please? Sorry, I missed one. Sorry, Shannon. Greetings. Shannon Dunfield from the Pit. Sorry. It's a tough one for me, and I actually grew up speaking Michif.
Oh. Thank you. My printer wasn't working this morning. It's been an interesting day because I'm also sick, but I think it was really important to be here. Tansing, good morning. I just wanted to share really quickly, I always get teased about matchy, and I just realized I matched two of those beautiful wreaths over there with my sash and my purple jacket. So, Tansing, good morning. It is an honor to bring greetings on behalf of the Otipemisiwak Métis government of the Métis Nation within Alberta and Grand Prairie Métis District, which resides on the traditional territory of Treaty 8. I want to say thank you for the invitation to be here from Grant Berg and Renee Charbonneau, and I also want to say thank you to Bruce for the beautiful prayer. As was mentioned, my name is Shannon Dunfield, and I'm the Provincial Secretary of Records for our government and the Citizens Representative for Grand Prairie Métis District. Today, let us pay tribute to the courage, sacrifice, and resiliency of Indigenous veterans. They served with unwavering dedication, defending our nation, our communities, and their country. The last few days, I've been reflecting on the contributions of my own home community, Kelly Lake, which is 45 minutes west of here. We are a small community, and during World War I and World War II, we had about 300 people that lived in my home. But when the call came, many of our young men, over 30, served, and my community continues to serve with two of my nephews still in service. So today, on National Indigenous Veterans Day, let us remember their sacrifices and celebrate their contributions to our history. May we continue to honor and support Indigenous veterans in meaningful ways, acknowledging the legacy they leave for future generations. Hi, hi.
Thank you, Shannon. Now, Len Auger from the Grand Prairie Friendship Center.
Thank you. Don't worry, it's only 2 pages long, but the words are about this big. Anyway, welcome to today's Indigenous Veterans Day service. I am honored and grateful to come and help remember all our Indigenous veterans that have served in the Canadian Armed Forces, going overseas in World War I, World War II, and the Korean War. There are still many Indigenous Canadian soldiers serving currently in the Armed Forces. And also, let's not forget that the RCMP are considered veterans. And so, welcome to all the RCMP and other police force members that are here today. And they're here to serve us in our communities, to look after us. I came up, well actually I've been here a few times now, and a lot of good words. And today I wanted to talk about Treaty 8 a bit. Treaty 8 is very important, and thank you for doing the land acknowledgement. I am a Big Stone Cree member from Wabasca, Alberta. And I have been doing some research, kind of like Renee there. And just looking at numbers on how many people from our Big Stone Cree Reserve were in the Canadian Armed Forces. Treaty 8 has many First Nation veterans that fought and sacrificed so much for us to enjoy the freedom we experience daily. And I do know back home on the res, they do the same thing here, but not as detailed, not as much information. And what I mean by that is we have a memorial stone there, you know, recognizing our veterans, and that's it. And boy, I'd sure like to see them do the same thing that Renee and her group are doing here in this garden. This is a very valuable place and for remembrance. So my latest update of Big Stone Cree members that served is 34. And that was as of this morning. One of my cousins, Ralph, he used to be the chief at one time, and now he's a council member. He sent me the latest list. My original list had about 20, and as of this morning, the list he sent me has 34 members from the Big Stone Cree, from Wabasca, Sandy Lake, and Calling Lake. That's our home reserve area. And there's about 8,000 of us today. We're a fairly big reserve, a lot of people. So I just wanted to go over some of the names. And the reason why I wanted to do that is because we don't, unless we're reading the names behind us of people that are in the services right now, we tend to forget our relatives that served in all the wars. And I know my grandfather, kind of building on your story there about my grandpa was also in the war. A lot of his cousins and their brothers were in the wars. And just recently, the last 2 years, our last veteran that we had that was alive fought in the Korean War, George D. Auger. And so everybody remembers George, but they don't remember all the other 33 because nobody tells them who they are. All right, so I think that's something we all need to do in today's world, is remember by name, by family, who all went to war to help us live where we're at today. So the following are the names of some of the Indigenous and Métis veterans from Treaty 8 territory from Wabasca, Calling Lake, and Sandy Lake that are all members of the Big Stone Cree that I would like to honor today. And just so you know, I did take a picture of this listing of names here. That's what I'd like to see back home. So our young people know who fought for them, so that they can relate and name the family names of people that brought, that helped us in democracy. So not just this listing, but all our Indigenous veterans across Canada. This list may not yet include everyone, and many names are still being researched. So I'll just quickly go through some of them. Edward Auger, that was my grandpa's brother. Francis Auger, a cousin to my grandpa. Frederick Auger, and last but not least of the Augers was George D. Auger, who fought in the Korean War. We had a young lady named Patricia Auger that went. Michael Bigstone, Noel Boscoyos, Peter Brule, Johnny DeCoyne, Bill Fardy, Paul Gladue Sr., Stanley Gullion, Adolph Houle, Ernest Murray, Victor Rivelak, Ambrose Shaw, Oliver Steele, John Peter Young. And I am related to most of these people, names that I just gave you. Some of the Calling Lake veterans were Louis Auger, David Cardinal, and Jeremy Nipshank. And then from Sandy Lake, Joe Auger and Mark Reed. So let's take the time to remember our veterans. Get to know who they were. Get to know their family background. So let's take the time to know who our veterans are and always keep them in mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Len. Next on our list is Bill Shalafu.
Yes, good morning, and thank everybody that showed up here today. It's a very important day for Indigenous Veterans Day today, and not only that, but I believe that every veteran are up above us, looking downwards to us because they know what we're doing for the day. So, but I'd like to say that it is time to pay tribute to those who gave their lives for our freedom. Well, Veterans Day is an opportunity to thank all who served the armed forces. And like everybody was saying, most that what I wrote down here, so, but Indigenous Day is held to honor unique sacrifices of Indigenous veterans and to insert contribution and recognize that celebration. And You know, I've heard a lot of people had never heard of Indigenous Day. We don't know what it is. This is the first time I hear it, and I keep hearing that. But now, this is the date. People say, how come it's not on 11th? November 11th. That's all we ever heard at November 11th. So, but this day, November the 8th, is not to replace Remembrance Day, but to complement Indigenous veterans and their families observe both days, remembering their service and honoring all veterans who have sacrificed Canada. Now, since 1994, this is the 30th year, 1994, November the 8th, has been recognized as Indigenous Day. Today and every day we thank those Indigenous Canadians that served their country, fought and made ultimate sacrifices for freedoms that we enjoy today, lest we forget. I have a little prayer like here. Would everybody stand for me?
We don't read that till after. That's at the
Oh, at the after the fact. Okay. Anyway, sorry about that. But, you know, that's amazing, you know, what I just did. You know, I said, everybody stand, so they did. I said I'm in a chief. Because whatever I say, you do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. Next on our list, we have Dean Langton, Royal Canadian Legion Branch 54. Dean?
This is a surprise. Good morning, everyone. I did not prepare a speech because this is not about me. This is not about the Legion. This is about our Indigenous veterans, who without them, where would we be today? They went, they fought for us, they came back, they had their citizenship cards taken away, they were persecuted. Hell of a way to treat people. So thank you to everyone who has served. Everyone from every tribe, every treaty across this great nation. Without you, would we be a great nation? I think not. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I've been asked to read the speech by Chris Warkington, who could not be here today. Greetings from Chris Warkington, Member of Parliament for Grand Prairie Mackenzie. Friends, Indigenous Veterans Day is an important opportunity for our community to remember, honor the sacrifices and contributions of courageous men and women who served and continue to serve our country. Indigenous veterans have dedicated their lives to the defense of freedom, and today we recognize their unique contributions to Canada's military. They served, fought, and died for Canada. Their legacy continues to inspire future generations, with more than 27,000 Indigenous members currently serve in Canadian Armed Forces. To both the past, the present Indigenous veterans, thank you. Your hard work, dedication, and courage are immeasurable and have paved the way for prosperity we all enjoy today. We are eternally grateful for all that you have done for Canada. Chris Warkington, Member of Parliament, Grand Prairie, Mackenzie. Thank you, Chris. Now I have Ron Weeb, MLA, Grand Prairie, Wapiti.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here as we together recognize the Indigenous Veterans Day. Indigenous peoples have participated in Canadian military efforts remarkably over the years. These selfless volunteers ventured beyond their communities, adapting to significant cultural differences in services to our country. Unfortunately, many Indigenous veterans did not receive the same treatment compared to other Canadian veterans. More than 4,000 Indigenous soldiers served during World War I. In some areas, 1 in 3 able-bodied Indigenous men volunteered to join the war. In some communities, every Indigenous man between the ages of 20 and 35 enlisted. Officers in the Canadian military revered their skills Indigenous soldiers brought. Many had stellar stealth and marksmanship skills, having come from communities which relied heavily on hunting for sustenance. When World War II broke out in 1939, Indigenous people once again answered the call and volunteered to join the Army. Over 300 First Nations people and many Métis and Inuit recruits served in uniform. Indigenous service members served in the Royal Canadian Navy, the Royal Canadian Air Force, and the Canadian Army, invaluably contributing to our country's war efforts. During World War II, Indigenous soldiers became extremely effective code talkers who translated sensitive radio messages into Cree, since this language would be particularly difficult to understand if intercepted. Cree-speaking code talkers formed a network of messaging codes communication that aided the English Army. Today we remember the struggles our Indigenous veterans endured for our freedom and democracy. Let today be a reminder that the peace and safety we have here in Alberta came with tremendous cost. We pay our respects to all of the fallen, wounded, and those who have fought selflessly, making a way for us to be all here today. Thank you to all who have served and fought for our freedom, and thank you to all of those who continue to do so today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Next on our list, we have Bob Marshall from the County of Grand Prairie, number 1. Bob?
Good morning, everyone. It is truly an honor to be here in attendance today on behalf of the County of Grand Prairie. Today we honor our Indigenous veterans, their families, and their communities. Our region is home to many veterans, and the contributions of these brave individuals is important and humbling. We value our relationships with the local Indigenous communities. Supporting Indigenous organizations and events in our region is a key part of our county's strategic priority to foster community wellness and safety, including the Grand Prairie Aboriginal Circle of Services Round Dance and the traditional powwow event. We honor our relationships with our neighbors at the Horse Lake First Nation and maintain contact with organizations like Treaty 8 First Nations and the Métis Association of Alberta. I want to express my gratitude on behalf of the county to all Indigenous veterans and those who serve our nation. Thank you for your service, and thank you for including the county in today's ceremony. It is truly an honor to be part of this.
Thank you, Bob. Next we have Tom Burton, MD of Greenview.
Tensei, hello everyone. It's an amazing honor to be here representing the MD of Greenview. As Bruce stated, my name's Tom Burton. I'm a counselor for Greenview. Welcome elders, chiefs, knowledge keepers, ladies and gentlemen. fellow dignitaries, and our honored guests, the veterans, as we gather to commemorate Indigenous Veterans Day. I want to acknowledge that we are gathering on traditional territory of Treaty 8. We respect the histories, languages, cultures of First Nations, Métis, and Inuit, all First People of Canada, whose presence continue to enrich our communities. We acknowledge that many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit who have lived on and cared for these lands for generations. We are grateful for the traditional knowledge keepers and elders who are still with us today and those who have gone before us. Recognizing Indigenous Veterans Day is an important occasion to honor the often overlooked contribution of Indigenous people to our military history. For generations, First Nations, Métis, Inuit people and women, our men and women, have served with exceptional courage and distinction from World War I to the modern peacekeeping missions. Many enlisted even before they had full citizenship rights, showing a deep commitment to defending the freedoms of a country that had not always recognized their freedom. But this day is about more than just remembering their military service. It's about acknowledging the unique sacrifices Indigenous veterans made in face of significant challenges. Many returned home to unequal access to veterans' benefits, and their contributions were often forgotten in the broader narrative of history. By recognizing Indigenous Veterans Day, we not only honor their bravery, but also their resilience in fighting for their rights, both on the battlefield and here at home. It's a moment to reflect on the deeper history and the significant role Indigenous peoples have played in shaping our country. Recognizing their service is a step forward in fostering greater understanding, reconciliation, and respect for the critical roles Indigenous veterans have played in protecting the values we all hold dear. As World War II veteran Ian White from the Chapeau Cree First Nations once said, when we think of the word freedom, we need to think of the word price. Because of freedom, it was a terrible price to pay. I would like to extend a heartfelt gratitude to the Veterans Memorial Gardens and Interpretive Center for organizing this important event and for inviting me here to say a few words. Today, we remember, we honor, and we express our unwavering support to our veterans and their families. Together, we ensure that their legacy of courage and sacrifice continues to inspire future generations. Thank you all for being here, for your enduring commitment for preserving and honoring our history, lest we forget. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Bruce Black from the town of Sexsmith for being here today. And I would like to introduce Cindy Corbett, town of Beaver Lodge, to speak, please.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Today we stand together honoring a day that holds immense importance for our country, Indigenous Veterans Day. This day, marked every November 8th, gives us an opportunity to pay tribute to the many Indigenous men and women who have served, fought, and sacrificed for Canada's freedom. Historically, Indigenous people have served in every major conflict that Canada has been involved in, from World War I through to today. And yet, despite their significant contributions, their stories have often been overlooked their sacrifices underappreciated, and their voices unheard. Throughout these conflicts, Indigenous veterans have shown bravery, resilience, and commitment to service, often while enduring or overcoming discrimination, systemic barriers, and lack of recognition. Today, honoring Indigenous veterans reminds us of their lasting legacy and their sacrifices made across generations for Canada. Indigenous soldiers faced unique challenges. Many were required to give up their status to enlist, enduring hardships both during and after service that were distinct from other veterans. When they returned home, they faced not only the psychological and physical scars of war, but also the enduring realities of discrimination and exclusion. Honoring Indigenous Veterans Day is more than a formality. It's about recognizing the courage, resilience, and dedication of Indigenous veterans and acknowledging their contributions to our Canadian identity. It is about understanding the rich tradition of service that runs through Indigenous communities and extending the gratitude that many of them were never given. By recognizing Indigenous Veterans Day, we reaffirm our commitment to a more inclusive narrative, one that respects all who have defended Canada, regardless of background. This day reminds us that every story of sacrifices enriches our country's history, deepens our collective understanding, and strengthens our resolve to honor those who have shaped our freedoms, lest we forget.
Thank you, Cindy. Our next speaker is Darren Shirk from the GP Technical Research and Rescue.
Actually, Darren asked if I would speak on behalf of Search and Rescue. So my name is Brian Carrier. I'm the president of Search and Rescue Alberta. I came here this morning to basically express thanks and gratitude to our Indigenous veterans who served a country that had not yet fulfilled its promise and is still working to fulfill its promise. And that gratitude, I think, we need to carry forward. As a student of history, I reflect that many of their contributions were indeed unique and even predated my country. When I think of, General Brock standing on the top of Queenston Heights with First Nations warriors by his side, they literally created our country as we know it today. And when my colleagues cried out for help when their airplane went down, it was Canadian Rangers that were responding on the ground, along with our other serving veterans that got the aircraft off the ground today. This is not a theoretical contribution. This is a very real contribution for which we're eternally grateful. And as a search and rescue volunteer, when we reach out for help to evacuate a community or to help bring people home, it is Indigenous veterans and Indigenous volunteers that work side by side with us every day. For that, I'm eternally grateful and thankful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. Our next speaker is Corporal Owl from the RCMP.
Good morning, everyone. During this time of year, many of us reflect on those who have sacrificed for our country. The price of that sacrifice is dearly paid by those who have stood up when the call to duty beckoned. On Indigenous Veterans Day, it's important that our First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people's stories be told, be heard, and be honored. Thousands of stories across hundreds of years, all so that we may be here today. To truly honor their stories and sacrifice, we need to acknowledge our collective history. How our Indigenous veterans gave so much in a time where so much was against them. Today is one such day where we may acknowledge all that they have given so that we may have flourished. Where we acknowledge that we can grow and do better in hopes of truly respecting what was given to continue reconciliation with our Indigenous peoples. Thank you. Thank you for all that has been done and all that will continue to be given for all of us. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, lest we forget.
Thank you, Corporal. Now we have In Flanders Field by John McCrae. It's on video. Audio, not video. Must be having some technical problems. I must be trying to run that thing.
Agamaski ayawa pasquawa ita kawas tahko mihkuwa pigonisa. Ahaitaw ay miwahtigwak ka nanawayos katoto. Kawitahko ita kapimsiniak. Kisagukasche piwaisis sa kiapits na negamuwag mina pimihawag. Ita taw pihtagusuwag miguano pasksigana sa pasis. Nianan o nipuwag namuya usam gayas ni pimatsinan, nigimusihtanan sa gastiw, paksimutaw o asisuin, nigisagihuanan, nigisagihigawinan, magaigwa na pimsinan, paskwak agamaskik. Miskotsista moinan kitanudnat o naihtawitom, kiiswi pinamatanan iskotiw ispimih kitsinamog. Kispen kigiskinamaunan tapuagik tamuin, namuya neganipanan, ita kaukpigihkwaw, mihkuwa pigwanisa, paskwak, agamaskik.
I guess our drummer is not here today, so we'll go with Grant Berg for The Fallen by Lawrence Binion.
Thank you again. For the Fallen by Lawrence Binion. They shall not grow old, as we that are left to grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
Thank you, Grant. Now we have a prayer by Bill Shalafu, please. Now we stand.
Now, you gonna believe me this time? Okay. Yes. We'll bow our heads in prayer. God bless these Métis veterans who saw war and who fought there. There are many of them buried in the far-off foreign lands. So proud to serve. Because of them, now Canada's freedom stands. In prayers we will remember an awful price they pay. They gave us tomorrow, they gave up their tomorrow for us to live today.
Thank you, Bill. Now we have some closing comments from Rennie Charbonneau.
You can be seated, everyone. I want to deeply thank everyone who came today. Indigenous Veterans Day has become a very, very special day to my heart. Randy Sue Gage, the founder, she was the founding vice president of Indigenous Veterans Day, and her brother, Mr. Murray Sinclair, who just passed away, have been profound advocates, and they've been my mentors. And I'm grateful to these people who have taught me, the daughter of two veterans, the value and the meaning of Indigenous sacrifice. In my particular case, I was born on the Armed Forces Base in Fort Churchill, Manitoba, and all my friends were a different color than I was. I was the odd man out. I didn't know that, though, because all us kids wanted to do was ride bicycles, play with our dogs, and throw mud pies at boys. Over the years, as the daughter of two veterans, remembrance has become more and more important to me. And as I learned about the soldiers of this region, it came to my mind that this region holds 10% of the national killed in action number of Indigenous soldiers. That number could be skewed to as much as 18% as we continue to work on the other 23 soldiers whose sacrifices we're learning about and their history and their families. That will bring the killed in action number in this region to potentially as high as 53, meaning Northwest Alberta gave up a lot of sons and daughters. Our country treated them like criminals when they came home. They ripped them from their families. And because of the Indian Act and the Liquor Act, it was 1951 before an Indigenous veteran was allowed to go into a legion to have a beer with his comrades in arms. It was 1995 before an Indigenous veteran was allowed as an individual to lay a wreath in Ottawa, Vancouver, and other major centers. Their sacrifice was as equal to anyone else's in the trenches, but when they came home, our government, the Indian Act, the Liquor Act, and, unfortunately, citizens' prejudice, prevented them from being treated like every other veteran. And for that, as a daughter of two veterans, I'm eternally sorry that our Canada, our government, and our people have not been equal players in remembrance or thank you. So today, this day, is a thank you from the bottom of my heart as the daughter of two veterans, as a person who has lived and walked in this land and learned all these stories through the research and history that this little museum is working on. And I invite you to take the time to read some of our veteran stories. We have 9 Métis veterans whose stories are completed. We have our Treaty 8 stories. We still have 2 signers that we need to get their stories completed. So that's why the 2 panels are still empty. The story is not complete yet. But please take some time today. Look at the beautiful memorial that Grant Berg has created for our Indigenous veterans, for all of them, and then the beautiful one for our Métis soldiers and veterans. These are enduring symbols of love and respect, and it is my hope that for years to come, these gardens see lots of children and lots of citizens learning about the sacrifice of this region's veterans, all of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Renee. In closing, I'd like to once again thank you, Renee Charbonneau, for all you do. It's amazing the work that you get done. I've only been involved with a few people that are actually from the Army way, and they're all the same. I'd like to tell you that. They don't take no for an answer. So I've been asked to do a closing prayer. I was lucky enough to work in the Sutana area in 2008 as I was a reclamation specialist, so I ended up there and I learned a prayer in Sutana. So if you could all rise, please.
We have to lay the wreaths right after your prayer.
Okay. Ayahoata sawanata goinits clem di didnasa sawanoha oyinoha ha ta yanasin ha ta nitsa iskat. Now we're going to lay the wreath. thank you for all attending. I'd also like, there's a special thanks to Veteran Affairs Canada, Wind Speaker Media, my favorite radio station, Diesel Powered Photography, Timantha Diesel, Flip Entertainment. Thank you for all being involved. It means a lot. Moving forward, come again next year, and we'll see you on the 11th also. Don't forget. Thank you.
Just want to make a special note to thank Denise, our beautiful piper. She does an amazing job for us every year. Thank you, Denise.
Agamaski ayawa pasquawa ita kawaskawastahkwao mihkuwapiguanisa. Ahai tau ay miwahtigwag ka nanawayuskatatuao. Kawihtahkwao ita kapimsiniak. Kisago kasche piwaisis sa kiapits nanigamuwag mina pimihawag. Ita tau pihtagwasuwag miguano pasksegana tsapasis. Nianan o nipuwag namuya usam gayas ni pimatsanan, nigimusihtanan sa gastiw, paksamutaw o asasuin, nigisagihuanan, nigisagihigawinan, magaigwa ni pimsinan, paskwak agamaskik. Miskotsistamowinan kitanudnat unaihtawitom, kiiswi pinamatanan iskutiw ispemih kitsanamuk. Kispen kigis kinamaunan tapuagih tamuin namuya neganipanan ita ka upigih kwaw mihkuwapigwanisa paskwak agamaskik.